Give me a second. Y'all, I appreciate you holding on. I've had a long delay, had a lot to do this morning. Give me 1 second. Let me add this. Okay, so I don't have to worry about it. I just gotta go public. Just gotta go public. 1 second. All right, better late than never. But let's get to talking about the NFL wild card picture. We got the game actually starting right now for anybody that's tuning into it. We got the Bills and the Colts. Before I even get started with that game, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw my prediction out for that game. I got the Colts. I got the Bills winning 30-17. I think their offense is gonna be hard for the Colts to slow down. But with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my keys to the Colts actually winning today. For one, in this game, the Colts gonna have to find a pass rush because the Bills are actually number one in the NFL on third down on passing third downs. They've averaged 397 on a year. That's number one in the league. And the Colts don't have a double-digit pass rusher on their team right now. Justin Houston's had a good season, but they don't have a lot of consistency at the pass rush. So if they're going to win today, they're going to have to get after the quarterback, plain and simple. Because if not, Josh Allen's going to cook all day long. Other thing they got to get is they got to get some production in this game from Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines. That running game has actually been pretty good this year, but overall, the Colts are going to have to run the ball well because the Bills aren't the best at running. The Bills aren't the best run defense in the league. They're middle of the pack. They're 17 in rushing yards allowed, and they are 27 in rushing touchdowns. So the Bills are going to have to really tighten up on Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines, or the Colts have a very good chance of winning this football game today. That's going to be your key to winning today because if you make this a passing game, if you got to rely on T.Y. Hilton or you got to rely on Phillip Rivers to win you a playoff game, that is not what you want if you're a Colts fan. You don't want that. So this rushing attack has to show up for the Colts today. My other key moment thing with the Colts, they got to force turnovers and they got to win the turnover battle because they are actually pretty good at not turning the ball over. They were third best in the regular season. They only gave up 15 all season long, which is pretty good. But they're going to have to make sure they play turnover-free football, especially on the road at Buffalo today, because this is a very important game. Let's see. John Peyton said Naheem Hines need the ball out. He might have a big game this week. He very well could have a big game this week. It's going to come down to their running game today. They got to run the ball well if they're going to win at Buffalo. I do not want Phillip Rivers having to throw for them to win this football game because anybody that know Phillip Rivers, even back in the San Diego days, you do not want to leave him. You don't want him turning into a turnover frenzy. So this is a big time game. They got to run the ball in this game. The Bills also on the flip side, they cannot turn the ball over because Buffalo is number 3 in the NFL. They finished third in the league with 26 takeaways on the year. This is the one team you cannot turn the ball over against. So, very key factor into winning this football game will be not turning that ball over for the Colts. As far as on the flip side for give me a second, trying to get some of these notes together. As far as Buffalo, that offense got to get going. That their rushing attack is not really that good, but Josh Allen, that passing attack has been the best. In my personal opinion, outside of the Chiefs, they've been one of the best passing offenses in the league. Oh, in Green Bay as well. They've been probably the third best offense, in my opinion, this year. And they're gonna have to show up today because honestly, they have a very good chance. The Bills are very talented. Their offense is gonna have to keep clicking. They're gonna go deep in the postseason. To me, winning this game, you put yourself in position to play whoever wins that Colts and the Chiefs and the Browns and Steelers game. It's gonna be a big day for them to have to show up. I'm sorry, I keep looking at the game because the game just got started, and Jonathan Taylor's broke for a pretty decent run. Like the Colts are running the ball pretty well to start the game off. So again, the Bills are gonna have to get that passing game going. You cannot go out here kicking field goals either. You're gonna have to get that offense going because the Colts aren't the best defense in the league, but they're respectable enough to win games. Also, for the Bills, they got to win the first half because most games, the Colts are a very interesting team. If the Colts are up in the first half, they kind of be lackluster in the second. If you are the Bills, you want to try to jump on them early. Right now, the Colts are driving. They're in Buffalo territory, so it's not the type of game to start off. But overall, when Buffalo do get on this field, they're gonna have to get that offense humming because there's no way they're gonna win this game if the Colts can march the field. Plain and simple. But my key matchups for this game, as I mentioned earlier, the Bills run defense against Naheem Hines and Jonathan Taylor. He's brought for a couple of pretty decent runs early in this game, but they're gonna have to get going. They're gonna have to get going today. That Bills run defense is middle of the pack, like I mentioned just a few minutes ago. They're 17th in the league in rushing yards allowed. They gave up the fifth most rushing touchdowns this season. They're gonna have to stop that run. Make Phillip Rivers beat you. This is not San Diego's Phillip Rivers. Make him beat you. You have Tre'Davious White that's going to be covering T.Y. Hilton. Make them beat you because that's the type of game that you want to have today. And that was a very, very, is that a catch by? Let's see. Excuse me. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to see if he make the completion. Was that a catch? I want to say that was not a catch. Let me make sure, though. Give me a second. Oh, yeah, that was a complete pass. So, that was, and that luckily that could have been intercepted, to be honest, if Micah Hyde timed it on time. But again, the Colts are gonna have to get going on that field this game. They do not need to rely on their passing game. They got to be balanced. Another matchup is, like I just mentioned, Tre'Davious White and T.Y. Hilton. We got a chance to see a glimpse of what is going to happen in this game. The Colts are going to probably have to punt the ball off to the Bills in a second. My other big thing is the Bills cannot allow big plays to happen. They're actually pretty good in regards to not giving up a lot of big plays. They actually gave up they were the 8th fewest in big plays of 20 yards or more, which is pretty good. Because one thing about big plays can turn a football game for the worse. Another big note, we're about to get a chance to check out and see Stephon Diggs against the Colts secondary. The Colts secondary is really not that good. And if that pass rush is not going, he's going to have a field day. And it's imperative that Colts secondary do enough to get off that field because if Josh Allen gets in a rhythm, it's going to be a long day for them. Also, well, okay, I just took my final note. But again, as I mentioned previously, I got the Colts losing 30-17 in Buffalo today. All right, touch on the Rams and Seahawks game. I'm looking forward to this game today. That's going to be it. It all depends on Jared Goff's health. That's another thing that's going to happen today. I want to see if Goff or Warford is healthy enough to play this game. But for one thing, for the Rams got to pressure Russell Wilson. Now, I don't know if a lot of people have been paying attention to the Rams, but I'm reading a couple of their stats off to you guys. The Rams are actually the number one defense in the league. They finished the season number one in the league in defense. They were number one in passing defense. They were top 5 rushing defense. They do enough to win football games. That's why they've won 10 games. So the Rams have a opportunity to slow that Seattle offense down. They got to get going now. You're not going to be able to win a game if you cannot get stops. You got to get stops in this game. And also, you got to force a lot of short possessions for the Seahawks. Don't allow that offense to get going. Don't allow DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett to get going in this game. You have the pass rush to get after Russell Wilson. The Seahawks offensive line is not that good. Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd should have a good day if they can get after the quarterback. You cannot let Russell Wilson get going, or again, this will be a long day for the Rams. You have the defense to win. Plain and simple. Another note for them, they got to play a balanced game and score touchdowns. The one thing about the game 2 weeks ago, even with them losing Jared Goff to injury, the they actually played a balanced football game. They were able to run for 216. No, I'm sorry. They were able to pass for 216 and run for 118 2 weeks ago, even with Jared Goff being hurt. But the difference of that game was they kicked field goals. You're not beating the Seahawks in Seattle if you're kicking field goals. Plain and simple. You got to score a touchdown. That is one thing about the Seahawks. The Seahawks are the second worst passing defense in the league, but they don't give up a lot of touchdown passes. So that's the tricky thing about that team. So if you're gonna win this game, Cam Akers got to get going. I got to see Robert Woods get going. You got to see the offense clicking because if not, it's gonna be a long day for that Rams offense, no matter who plays quarterback. In regards to the Seahawks got to keep that pass rush off the. They got to keep that pass rush at bay. You got to make them honest. Chris Carson got to get going in this football game if they're going to have a chance to win this game. You don't win this game if Chris Carson don't get going. Also, on the flip side, Carlos Dunlap got to get going for the Seahawks. Jamal Adams got to be wreaking havoc on defense. That is a key. Those are two key guys that you brought in this year to try to win a football game on defense for the Seahawks. They've actually been playing pretty well as of late. The Seahawks defense, as bad as they were earlier in the year, they had injuries. They've actually been getting hot at the right time. So let's see what John Peden said. John Peden said the Rams and Seahawks game is going to be a defensive battle. Both teams know each other too well, especially offensively and defensively. I totally agree with that. I think this game could be even closer if Jared Goff is playing quarterback. It depends on how his injury is healing up. He just got the surgery maybe 2 weeks ago, so that kind of doesn't favor them well. Let's see. Give me a second. Josh Allen is rolling out the pocket. All right, the Colts got a good stop. They got a pretty big stop. He was able to even have them start within their 10. So big stop for both teams on the first possession. They're both trying to step up. It's playoff time. But as far as the Seahawks, as I just mentioned, they got to slow down Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald cannot be in that backfield. If Aaron Donald's in that backfield all day, it's going to be a long day for the Seahawks. Very long day. Not going to be able to win a game like that. You got to make the Rams honest. And also, if I'm the Seahawks, I'm attacking their second corner, Darius Williams. For me, when I have one of the best corners in the league and Jalen Ramsey on one side, if I'm gonna get my receivers going, I'm gonna need to feed off of let's attack that weak side first. Let's make them adjust to what we're doing. Because with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, you can eat that's the best duo, probably the best duo in the league right now. Correct me if I'm wrong if it's somebody else is better, but at this moment, they're one of the best in the league going into this, especially going into the playoffs. Let's see. This is going to be off subject, but who do you believe is the best receiver in the game? I believe it's DeAndre Hopkins. I will touch on that in just a second. Give me a second on that one. But as I mentioned, if you can get those guys going. But I think a key to the Seahawks winning today is getting Chris Carson going. That's going to be a heavy key to them winning this football game. I don't think they win this football game if they cannot get a rushing attack going today. Another thing, win the turnover battle. As good as the Rams are on defense, the Rams turn the ball over a lot on offense. The Rams finished the season 25th in the league in turnovers. That's not good. They turn the ball over 25 times. If you're the Seahawks, I'm trying to force turnovers. If I can force turnovers that give Russ in that offense a chance to get going today. That's the biggest way you got to look into winning this football game, whether someone is injured or not. Me personally, my prediction for today is Seattle will win this game 24-10. I don't know how the Rams are going to look today, especially without I don't know what's the Jared Goff situation at this moment. If anybody's heard it, let me know. But I don't really know what to expect from them right now. So that's what's going to depend on in regards to the Rams and Seahawks game. For tonight's game, which is Tampa at the Washington football team. Hold on. Before I even step into that, John said if Chris Carson can stay healthy, I give the Seahawks upper hand for sure. Absolutely. He's going to be a key factor in them winning today. And as I bring them up, if they can win this game, to be honest with you, if New Orleans do their job tomorrow against Chicago, I think they have a very good chance of beating New Orleans in New Orleans. Because this Seattle team, to me, again, is going to depend on what they look like today. They're clicking at the right time. Looking forward to seeing how they play at 4 o'clock. That's actually one of the games I've been looking forward to today. But just to touch base on Tampa and Washington tonight. To be honest, the biggest key to them winning this game, they got to control the clock. The second thing is going to be talking about what they can do on defense. But of all teams that are in the playoffs, they by far have the most inconsistent offense of everyone. Not even Chicago's bad as them. I like Antonio Gibson. I like Terry McLaurin. I cannot think his last name right now. They got a pretty good tight end in Lance Thomas. Alex Smith is having a comeback year. I'm very happy to see him back. But overall, the Washington football team, I'm about to say the Redskins, they're not that good on offense. For as great as their defense is, that offense is dismal. And against Tampa Bay tonight, that's not going to be able to work. Antonio Gibson is going to have to get going, but the Buccaneers are one of the best rushing defenses in the league. So you're going to have to find a way to move that ball tonight, or this could easily turn into a blowout. As far as the flip side, that Washington defense is going to have to get up to Tom Brady. To be honest, this is the kind of matchup that is going to be pretty challenging to watch tonight. I think that the Buccaneers are going to win, but I don't think that it's going to be a beatdown. I don't think it's going to be a easy matchup. Oh, what a big throw to T.Y. Hilton. Again, I don't know. I don't see the offense of Washington has to show up if you're going to win this game. But I don't see it. I don't really see that offense showing up today. But again, if they can find a way to put pressure on Tom Brady, they stand a good chance of pulling an upset tonight. But that's the biggest thing. Tom Brady, if I could see Tom going into his New England bag, which is dinking and dunking the team. We've seen him go against some of the best defensive units in league history throughout his career. I don't see it being any different tonight. So he's probably going to dink and dunk them. They're going to get that running game going themselves. You got to make that defensive line honest, because if you can stop that defense from making anything happen, you're going to have a good night. Because again, they don't have the offense to keep up with Tampa. It's not about the skill set. It's about the simple fact that they don't have the offense to really go neck and neck in the game. This is not as in regards to Tampa, they're not the best defense, but they're not the worst. They can do enough to win a game, basically. But tonight I have Tampa Bay winning 31. I got 13 for Washington. But I did want to go in here talk a little bit about this game. We're going to probably talk about it a little bit this evening once these two games are over and right before the Tampa game gets going. But all right, until later on, this